On May 5, 1821, the world's most heavily guarded prisoner died inside a decaying, rat-infested house on a windswept rock. Welcome back. On this channel, we break down complex geopolitical events into simple 5-minute explainers. The year is 1821. 6 years have passed since the Battle of Waterloo, and the British Empire is holding the former master of Europe captive. To ensure he could never return, they shipped him to Saint Helena. It sits thousands of miles south of Europe, stranded in the vast, empty expanse of the South Atlantic Ocean. The island's geography acted as a natural maximum security vault. Its sheer cliffs and rugged volcanic terrain made the perimeter virtually impenetrable to any rescue fleet. For the conservative monarchies of Europe, his existence remained a constant threat. As long as the emperor was alive, there was a risk he could return to lead another revolution against the old guard. That fear dictated every policy on the island. Having already escaped one exile on Elba, Napoleon was placed under a suffocating lockdown enforced by the pedantic governor, Sir Hudson Lowe. They confined him to Longwood House, a damp, windswept bungalow that struggled to keep out the harsh island climate. British paranoia was well-founded. Loyalists were actively plotting his escape, including a $3 million scheme by inventor Tom Johnston to rescue the emperor using primitive submarines. The plan involved lowering Napoleon down a sheer cliff face in a bosun's chair to reach the underwater vessels waiting in the dark Atlantic waters. These plots never launched, but the threat forced a sedentary life. Refusing to be followed by British guards, Napoleon spent his final years almost entirely indoors. This obsession with containment created a physical and psychological pressure cooker that accelerated his decline far faster than life in an ordinary prison. This rapid deterioration fueled a century-long theory that he was being systematically poisoned to remove the geopolitical threat forever. The suspect was Count Montholon, a man in Napoleon's inner circle with alleged ties to the French royals, who stood to gain most from his death. Nuclear tests on Napoleon's hair provided the evidence. Normal arsenic levels were 0.08 parts per million, but his hair showed something different. The data revealed erratic spikes, reaching up to 51.2 parts per million. These peaks perfectly aligned with days his diaries recorded violent symptoms. This suggested a professional two-phase poisoning, a low-dose cosmetic phase to mimic a natural illness, followed by a lethal trigger. Arsenic also acts as a tissue preservative. When his body was exhumed 20 years later, witnesses were shocked to find his corpse remained remarkably intact. A suspect with deep political ties, motive from a desperate monarchy, and data showing specific poisoning spikes all pointed toward a coordinated assassination. Despite the compelling forensic data, an international team of pathologists reopened the case in 2021 to provide a final medical verdict. Re-examining the original autopsy records, they confirmed that Napoleon died of stage 3A terminal stomach cancer. It was a hereditary disease that had already claimed his father and several siblings. This leaves the question of the lethal arsenic levels found in his hair. The toxin wasn't in his food, it was in his environment. In the 1800s, green dye was often arsenic-based. In the damp, moldy rooms of Longwood, the wallpaper began to rot, releasing toxic spores into the air Napoleon breathed daily. Ignorant of the environment, his doctors also administered calomel, a toxic mercury-based medication. This acted as the final trigger, causing massive internal bleeding in his already cancerous stomach. A perfect storm of bad genetics, a highly toxic prison environment, and crude medical practices finally brought down the man who had once conquered Europe. His death allowed the British Empire and the European monarchs to secure the old conservative order. The geopolitical threat was finally extinguished. In his final days, Napoleon carefully crafted his own martyrdom. He framed himself as a modern Prometheus, chained to a rock for bringing fire to the people, ensuring his legend would survive his physical empire. While Saint Helena held his body, his ideological influence could not be contained. The Code Civil, his comprehensive legal document, spread across the globe. Long after his conquests ended, these legal codes survived. They remain the foundation of civil law in dozens of modern nations, from Europe to South America. If you want more deep dives into the hidden mechanics of history, Subscribe to the channel for more 5-minute geopolitical explainers.